All right, we are live now.
We are live.
Coming to you live. Let me not. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna be so serious today. So serious. All right. Um,
Uh,
it worked. Yep. Okay.
I'm just waiting for you to.
Okay. Hold on.
There we go.
Make sure it's, all right. Hello, everybody. It's been a while. We have a couple of viewers up in here. So before I start sharing away, do us a favor and share this live because it's going to be a great talk, a great discussion, and I'm looking forward to having it and hearing you guys' point of view and take on everything as well. Remember, mostly all of our lives are interactive, so feel free to comment. Feel free to give your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings on every subject that we discuss. And just be patient with us because, technology sucks sometimes. But we're here. Anyways,
Wow.
I am Shabreon Howard. I am the co-founder and co-host of the Sickle Cell Experience Live. I am a writer, filmmaker, photographer. Um, I do the graphics for this everything that we do for the sickle cell experience. And I am a mother of a sickle cell patient. And sorry, I lost my. I am the child of a sickle cell patient as well. So I got a lot of different types of experiences with sickle cell. So yeah, that is who I am in a nutshell, and I'm going to pass it over to my partner so that I can start sharing the live.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marissa Kors, and I am the co-host and co-creator of the Sickle Cell Experience Live. It has been about 2 weeks
Hello,
since we've been here. Why is there? Yeah. At any rate, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here today. We have been waiting for this show. I have been waiting to do this show for like a month. And then, like, a whole lot of things happened, and we couldn't. And now we can. So, today we are talking about advocacy groups, specifically sickle cell advocacy groups. What do they do? That is our topic today. Again, this is an interactive show. So please, if you would like to uh, get on and give us your opinions, join the conversation, we are here for it. And we are just going to, get started with the show. And I feel like, should we do like, what are those things called, Shabreon? You do at the beginning of every show where you're like, we're not responsible. What are those called?
Oh, you mean like the warning labels or the
Yes, I feel like we need a warning label for this show. Um, and so just very quickly, warning, some of the opinions that are going to be discussed on this show are not those of the hostesses or the creators of the sickle cell experience, but of the community itself. We are but a middleman. And I'm saying that not just as the person that asked people to please fill this out, So job, but also as somebody who is part of the advocacy groups that are mentioned in the survey. And yeah, so know that this was an equal opportunity survey. Um, we didn't ask for names. We are not going to be sharing names, a specific organization, but we are going to send those specific organizations the things that were unique or said about their specific um, organization. Only because I feel like it's fair. I don't think it's very nice to bring up stuff and just leave it out in the in the ether. Like, well, who were they talking about? If you wrote it, you know about, and if they wrote it about you, we're going to send it specifically to said organization if you care. But that's really it. So, do you want to tell them why we did this specific survey?
Before we do, I just kind of want to just shorten up what you said. Don't shoot the messenger. In other words, that's what you tried to say. Don't
That's what I
shoot
was trying to say.
the messenger. Okay. Don't trip on us. Trip on yourself. Okay. That's okay. Moving on. Um. Uh, I just have to leave a moment of silence for y'all to take that in. Anyways, we came up with this because um, there is so much of a, you know what? I don't know if I should do this part. I think you should do
Okay,
this
let
part.
me do it.
Mhm.
Okay. Blind, at the end of the day, we came up with this survey because truthfully, someone asked me, well, what do you do? Like they asked, what do you do as a non as a an advocacy group? And paused for a minute and I was like, well, we advocate. We advocate on behalf of, our community and different organizations are sort of dedicated to doing different things. And then the next part of that conversation was, yeah, but what do you do? Like, okay, so if you guys, so somebody, you guys do different things, right? And they gave me example of dogs. I don't know why everybody want to talk about advocating for pets when we talk about advocacy, but they gave example for dogs. They were like, so like there's one group and their job is just to spay and neuter the dogs, and there's another group and their job is just to find the forever home for the dogs, But all of the groups are working together for the betterment to have better lives for dogs, for animals. And it's like, yeah, so we work together to make a better life and better care, I guess, for sickle cell community. And then came the question, yeah, but are you successful? And um, mind you, this is like a 2 hour long conversation. I'm breaking it down for y'all. But, are you successful? And I thought to myself, yeah, as somebody who these advocacy groups, I believe we're successful. There are people working very hard all day, every day to make sickle cell, to live with. And it was like, well, if that's the case, then why is there so many problems? If that's the case, why, you know, is it that every time I speak to you or I hear about sickle cell, you're talking about how horrible the care is and how bad patients are treated? Like, what do your advocacy groups do? Because I get cancer, AIDS, and I see a vast difference. And it seems like you guys have just as much talent. So what do you do? And I was like, okay. And so that prompted me to ask the community, what do you think advocacy groups do? And what do you think our main purpose should be in how we, you know, how we service the community? And we got a fairly large number of people that responded to the survey. And it was very interesting. And so we're going to go over that. I have CC says not cool. I'm not sure what she's referring to. Not cool that this is our subject matter. Not cool that they always compare us to cancer and AIDS. Not cool that I did not response when they asked why are we not as successful. Expound. Um,
Yeah,
but
I would like to know what she was referring to as well. That would be lovely.
but at the end of the day, you know, after we go through this, I think um, as a community, we might have a better understanding of what it is that we want our advocacy groups um, to do. That they said, oh, that we're not successful. Yeah, I think a very large part of that thought process is that when you look at other blood illnesses, when you look at leukemia, you look at AIDS, you look at cancer, um, they are just received better in society than we are. Period. If one says they have those illnesses, um, then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, and the empathy is just pouring out, and oh wow, I'm so sorry. But when you have sickle cell, people really try to do that. But the fact of the matter is that they just don't know, and you can't have a feeling, especially one of sympathy or empathy, for if you kind of don't really know what it's about or what the person goes through. And yes, Shay, I would agree with you. It depends on what you feel is successful. Um, I think the other thing that people don't understand is that in comparison to cancer and AIDS, uh, if we want to talk about starting point, our starting point is like way back there, way back there. And their starting point is, beyond the screen. So when you look at it and you consider this, then yeah, it's different. But yeah, so this that's how all came up. I wanted to know what they thought, what we as a community thought our advocacy group should be doing. Um, and you guys gave us an answer. And now I'm just waiting because SurveyMonkey kicked me out, as always. So, Shay, a question for you. What do you think advocacy groups do for the community?
Okay. I think that, well, first and foremost, I want to say this. I think it helps a lot of sickle cell patients stay busy. And I think it does to an extent. Most of the, organizations do help the patients that they want to help, put it that way. And um, I think that it provides a window. I think that advocacy provides a window into what it is that we go through. When you look on Facebook and you see the ads of like the pharmaceutical companies, because it's catered to us because, that's what our disease is and that's what we look up. So when you're on Facebook, you'll get ads from sickle cell medications and so on and so forth. So to see that now they're actually having more sickle cell patients there in the forefront sharing their stories, I think that's a form of advocacy. I think that is helpful in a brilliant way to show and showcase the lives of so many people who suffer with this illness. Um, I think that there are lots of groups and people who are not in a group that are just people who just want to help and who have been helping at the capacity that they have. You know, um, are we getting the job done? No. Sue me. I said it. We're not because there's
Okay.
far too much suffering and far too much pain. Well, the pain is a part of this life, but I feel like it's unnecessary pain. I feel like there's, like you said, so many brilliant people who are behind the forces behind these organizations. And for the most part, you know, yeah, people work together, but I don't feel that it's enough unity to to bring something full circle and help really save and change lives the way that we want to. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. I don't know that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to say this. I think that what you're saying is, yeah, we do. We have a lot of brilliant people working very hard. For me, I don't really know that it's the advocacy groups that are failing um, as a whole, um, together or separately. What I see is a failure of system, and I see failure on the medical side more so than I would say on the advocacy side. That's my personal opinion. We can't do this alone, and I can only speak for um, I can only speak for the advocacy work that I do. But I know that when I go to hospital and I have a patient there that's in pain and writhing in pain and needs help, and a doctor or a nurse will listen to me and like their whole position is, well, they're I mean, how do we know they're telling the truth? That's not a me problem. That ain't a us problem. That's a you problem. That's a medical problem. Like, for number one, what do you mean? How do you know? Number two, after we get past all that, then it turns into, well, I've studied medicine, but you've not sickle cell. So number two, y'all know that you haven't studied sickle cell, and yet you're sitting here mad because the person that has lived it has come in to assist you, not belittle you, not push you aside, not do your job, but assist. And it's just like wall after wall after wall after wall. And the thing is, it's not like we don't have the medications to help people in those instances. Let's be honest. To the care that we require, that immediate care, brain surgery, it's hydration, pain medication, oxygen. Not that hard. And yet, that's where we get all of this pushback. So, in my mind, when I think about the advocacy of that sickle cell groups do, I consider the just the what we're met with. the negativity that we're constantly met with. And the fact of the matter is that, we can't do this alone. We can't do this if they don't want to do their part in health. And I don't say that as medical doctors as a whole. I'm not generalizing all of you as a whole, but I'm saying in my experiences when I have to go help, that's what I run into. As an advocacy group, I can truly say Access Advocacy, because the Sickle Cell Experience is not a nonprofit or an advocacy group on its own. Just to make that correction, we are not. We are part of Access Advocacy for Sickle Cell Disease. We are their very boastful, very uh, loud community service arm. That's what we are. Um, but you know, the fact of the matter is that when we go and when we call, and this is all over the country, it's not just in California. That's what we get met with, and it's not okay. It's just it's not. You know, we go and we talk to the pharmaceutical companies. We go and we discuss with other, the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine. We have a great relationship with them, and we can have all of that. But until our medical system decides that they want to stop doing what they do, or can we go? I don't know. We have messages. Could you? Yeah.
Um, just to kind of, I think that honestly, I'm not saying there's nothing being done. So don't take what I'm saying as, oh, no one's doing anything. What I'm saying is, I feel like every place is failing. The medical system and the advocacy, because there's no bridge there. Where's the bridge there? So
Mm.
it's all work that needs to be done, is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that people are not putting work in. I'm saying what one or two or three or maybe four or five people are doing and doing well and even sick themselves, it can be detrimental to them when they don't get the results for the patient because there's, like you said, wall after wall after wall. But who can they turn to? Why is there no bridge? Why are we, you see what I'm saying? Why is there no bridge? And that's, it's like sometimes I feel like we're missing the point of all of this. Um, and that's all I know. But let me try to scroll up because it's been quite a
There
bit.
are people talking, and I'm still trying to get into Survey Monkey.
I have the survey open of what you sent me. I know it's not let's see. CC Crystal said that they said not successful. That's what she was saying, not clear too. And that's what I said. Things on the was a successful. And I'm just gonna put them up here because for the most part I just want to catch up on some, catch up and
Mm-hmm.
go before I go down to the big minutes. So I'm not gonna read these because I'm just gonna put them on the screen and acknowledge that we see them and understand what you're saying so that I can actually read the bigger ones. And Shay said there has been some good work done. It has. I'm not never, you know, taking away from anything that anyone has done, but is it enough? Is the question. I think it's not. And it is a combination of racist, yeah, systematic racism. It's hard to, but unfortunately, we can't say, oh, that's why, and let that be that. Because then where would we be? Lack of marketing and education. I don't think that the lack of education is there because I feel like if people really wanted to be educated about sickle cell, it's out there. It's on the internet. It's places you can reach out to. You know, lots of educated people on sickle cell, but it all really depends on you know are they really looking to be educated about it. CC Crystal. Okay, I'm gonna read this one. I can't read it with that one. Putting more facts about sickle cell, since we are not compared to other illness, let's add how similar and maybe worse thanks to other illnesses. Put it out there that we don't have enough help from medical professionals. Okay,
I got in.
good. I wonder if the educated wait what? I wonder if the educated on sickle cell in the medical field to become a doctor because there are a lot of nurses who doesn't even know what the illness is. No, they don't. They don't get a. They're not educated on sickle cell. But honestly,
They're
I feel
not.
like it's up to that person because I've had nurses come and sit through support group meetings just to learn more about sickle cell and really sit there and talk to patients and get the real patient experience instead of going and trying to figure it out themselves. And I think that was probably the best way that they could do it. Um, Also, advocating is a skill to be learned. It is. You are definitely right. Okay, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So, um, back to where we started. Now that Survey Monkey has decided that they're going to allow me back into the account, thank you. We can the responses, and the survey was titled "Sickle Cell Advocacy Groups. What do they do?" So, what do they do? What is their main job? How do they help people? Just in general, what do they do? Um, and
I'm just going to give them a little bit of a visual. You can go through it, but I don't want to.
what?
I'm going to give them a little bit of a visual. Like I'm going to.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Well, I'm starting with the first one.
okay.
So, the first question we asked was, "What advocacy group are you most familiar with?" And 22% or most familiar with SCDAA. Um, and I've never heard of them, but the Sickle Cell Association of Kentucky, yeah. So they got the most votes. Um, and then after them would be Sickle Cell Community Consortium. And after that was Cayenne Wellness. What is the main purpose of a sickle cell advocacy group? That was question number two. Okay. No, no, no. Come back. Um, so the top question here, the answer was all of the above, and I'm going to read what all of the above actually is. So all of the above um, Educate the public about sickle cell, provide support services to sickle cell patients and their families, lobby for bills or laws that change federal, state, and or local government policies for sickle cell disease, provide advocates to patients who are hospitalized and having trouble receiving proper care, to help patients file complaint or reports to the proper authorities when they encounter improper care or discrimination while hospitalized, regulate local hospitals and physicians so that sickle cell patients receive proper care, help patients apply for social services, be a liaison between patients, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, and providers, to inform sickle cell patients about new treatments when they become available, push researchers and pharmaceutical companies to develop a universal cure for sickle cell, to help sickle cell patients receive new treatments once they are FDA approved. Wow.
And seventy
Can I
percent of people.
just say, can I just say, I know people choices, but wow. Um, that's a lot. Like that's a lot. Like, okay, go out, uh, uh, raise the pig, buy the pig, raise the pig, kill the pig, butcher the pig, season the pig, make sure that there is enough food to feed the entire village all year round. And oh yeah, by the way, if it gets stolen, have a backup. Like, there's a lot expected advocacy groups. I just want to say that. But the largest one outside of the 70% was to provide support services for sickle cell patients and their families. What do you think about that? Would you
Um,
agree? Jonathan Nelson's very thorough survey. Thank you.
I think that
We're not done yet. Into it.
I think that hopefully they didn't mean that the group is supposed to do all of the above at one time. With I'm hoping,
Where's
you
your cake?
know, yeah, I'm hoping they not. That's why the expectation ain't meeting the situation right then and there. But hopefully, they meant some advocacy groups. This is what our advocates. This is what they're supposed to do. That okay. Let's just hope, for the sake of
Yeah.
argument, that that's what they meant.
Okay. Three, have you ever received help from an advocacy group? If so, what type of help did you receive and were you satisfied? And uh, here we go. Um, so we got an array of answers from help on the holidays, and people were very helpful. Some people said they've never asked for help. Um, help, yes, they received help raising awareness and visitation for patients being alone. Um, they've been provided with emotional and support services for themselves and their children whenever needed. Some people said they believe they got help with housing. Um, they received help and assistance with things like groceries during the pandemic. And then that's all for the positive ones. And here we go.
There we go.
Um,
I like Aisha's answer. Sorry.
yeah, thank you, Aisha. Yes. Okay. So, no, I've never received help from any advocacy group. Um, I was given recommendations on the process of filing hospital based complaints, but no help. No, not yet. Um, I'm still waiting for help. from a certain group that said they would help me to, on behalf, I'm sorry, I just got lost. A certain group would help to fill out forms on behalf. They're still waiting for that person, I guess that group, to call back. Other than backpack giveaways, I have received very little help from advocacy groups. Um, and I have not been satisfied with the help I've received outside of that. No, not really. I've received an invitation to a conference or two. That is the extent. And a whole lot of no's. Um, she says, I don't think that they didn't want all that done in one setting, but it was asked, what do you want? And that's why they chose above, why all of the above was chosen the most. I agree with you. No, I agree with you, Cece. I don't think that we are expected to do all of those things at one time. This was just the first time I read all of it out loud. And it's like, it's different when you read it to yourself at night and you're preparing notes for a show. But when you read it out loud and people are watching and you're still going, that was my reaction. But you're right. I don't think that we're expected to do all of that at one time. But it would be nice if we could do all of those things at some point. Um, the majority of the write-ins for this particular question are basically no. People either have not asked for help or the help that they've gotten, they've not been satisfied with outside of things that were, I would say, were um, periodical, like holiday gifts and things of that nature, going to camps. Um, do you believe that advocacy groups give more support to the patient or the medical providers, i.e., doctors or nurses, facilities, the ER or the hospital? 47% said that they give help to all parties equally. 32% said to the patients. And then the other, they just said no. I don't know. Um, this question was really, I guess, what started our conversation in the beginning. When you go to a hospital, and you call for help, have you ever had an experience where you've called an advocate or an advocacy group for help, and perhaps as a patient, you were made to feel that somehow you were in the wrong or you done something that was not particularly in your best interest? Or had you ever felt like you called for an advocate and perhaps you were being talked over? And the reason that I'm saying it like that is because these are things that I've actually had patients tell me. I actually had a patient tell me in my own advocacy work, you know, you forgot I'm here. And I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't think I'd forgotten that the patient was there. I included the patient. I asked, what do you want? What are you not getting? What have they, ordered for you? And then the nurse came in and she gave the nurse permission to speak to me. And in speaking with the nurse and asking questions like, when was the last time you gave the patient this medication? Because I noticed all the medications were given at the same time, which was weird, right? And she's like, I'm over here. I can answer that. She literally did this. She was like, I'm right here. I was like, oh. My bad. That was my second time ever really advocating. So you learn as you go. But sometimes, you know, when people ask you for help, sometimes you take a position that that person can't help themselves when that's not the case. Most of the time, it's they just need help in the communication part. They just need help because they're exhausted and they can't go on anymore. But it doesn't mean of assisting with said help. So that was part of that question. Um, I never thought about calling an advocate when in the hospital, but I should when my family is not available. Yes. Shay, what do you think about that? She should call the hospital, call when your family's not available. Because I'll be honest, I never thought about calling an advocate either, until my family wasn't available and until I realized that these people were not going to listen to me and it didn't matter what I said. And then I was like, okay, I need to call in some
Well,
reinforcements.
advocates are helpful in situations like that. Most of all, because having someone who knows a little bit more and that can help you um, verbalize what you're trying to say. Sometimes, they take everything with a grain of salt because they think you don't know what you're talking about. But when you have people who you can turn to and who can speak their language in so many words, it makes a difference. And it definitely helps me. I know for myself, I didn't really have that. I mean, when I was a kid, yes, but by the time I was a teenager and grown, I didn't have anyone to speak up for me, really. So I had to learn how to speak up for myself. I had to when I did get into this community, I had to start speaking up for people that knew a little bit more than me, a little more than me, who can have those conversations when I felt like I couldn't. That's
Hmm.
what,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as Shay says, she said, I call an advocate when they refuse to listen. I get tired of fighting. So, do you believe it is best to call upon an advocate in your state, or does it not matter? Uh, it's been my experience, and I can only speak from my experience, is that it doesn't matter. I mean, people call me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're all over the country. And if I answer, I mean, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, generally I am awake. That's another situation for another day. If I answer and I can help, then yeah, I'm there to answer and help. I don't think it matters. I think it's just a matter. It just matters who answers the phone. But I won't lie. It is easier when you're dealing with somebody in your time zone, just because you're on the same clock. You're not sitting there calculating 3 hours ahead, 3 hours behind, and you know when can you sleep if you're the advocate? So, but other than
yeah,
that, no, I don't think it matters.
when you can actually have an advocate physically come up to you as well. But if not, you know,
Hmm. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter as long as they know what they're talking about.
yeah. And now that we have video capabilities, which are much more accepted, people say, "What did COVID give us?" COVID gave us telemedicine. COVID gave justification to using the video phone feature outside of just being a teenager, you know. And after COVID, I have found that doctors and nurses are much more willing to pick up the phone and talk to me face to face than they were prior to COVID. So, yeah, if they can see your advocate's face, if your advocate can roll up in the hospital and roll up on them, that's also much more, you know,
Helpful.
effective. I was that advocate prior to COVID. I had my sleeping bag at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was laid up in the hospital waiting for that doctor that just wants to come in at 5 because they think everyone is asleep. Not me. I was up. Like, who are you? What you doing? And from there. So, um, what what I'm going to answer that question, CC. Give us one moment. Oh, what services would you like for sickle cell advocacy groups to provide and why? Okay, and here we go again. More programs and outings other than camps and an occasional walkathon. More.
I was laughing at when something Nyla had said. That's all. That's
Hmm?
nothing. Nothing.
Oh, um, a vocal platform with information going physically to schools and educating teachers and staff. I've been doing this for 26 years now, and I can tell you it is an exhausting process that is done every year, and we are tired. Okay. More funding. Um, Educate the patients. Patients need to be educated on how to properly be cared for by their caregivers and physicians in emergency situations. More financial support with housing, education on wellness, uh, support families because they're more relatable than doctors. Okay. Educate medical students and medical providers to dispel myths and misconceptions about sickle cell. More education for nurses and doctors. So, according to this, we need to focus a lot on educating our patients and educating our patients' caregivers and educating our doctors and our nurses in the medical system. Um, and after that, it was stand up for patients when we are in the ER in the hospital and make sure we're given adequate pain management and that health providers listen to us in regards to our health history, treatment, and care. Services for caregivers, funding, and finally, legislative education. Oh, grief counseling for parents and for children.
I like that. I,
Again,
I have a couple things to say. Go ahead, because
no,
I'm
no. Oh no, please say them because I was going back to the whole hog thing.
so
Like,
so my thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong because maybe I'm tripping. Um, there is a lot of um, from from what I hear from the survey is there is a lot of want and need for education for not just the patients but their families. Um, I That's one thing I can say. There is there is like um, and I know participation is key. I'm just gonna say that. I feel like if you want it, you got to show up for it. I'm
mm-hmm,
sorry because there's a lot of patients that feel like, oh, it's the education and families. Out talking to the families, talking to the patients. You talking about you want more than the walkathons and this and that, but are you showing up for more than that? Because I can even name stuff that we've done publicly and on Zoom or just ways for patients to educate and empower themselves. And then it's like, oh, okay. Oh, I forgot. But if Love and Hip Hop come on, you glued for an hour, right? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. Because I ain't gonna say nothing else about it. That's all.
Again, two-way street, right? It's a two-way street. So I didn't speak on
That's all I'm
the
saying.
two-way street between advocate and patient. I spoke on advocate in the medical system, but at the end of the day, I cannot disagree with my partner over here. It is incredibly frustrating as an advocate, as a group, when we are up at night and we are creating events that we think that our community will enjoy, or putting together, whatever it may be, and calling people personally, inviting them, and sending out flyers, and trying to put together giveaway bags, and writing a check for that last 50, 60 dollars that something was overlooked, and you take your own pocket because you want this event to be what it's been visualized as is within the group, but want it to be for the community, and then not have the interaction. Is the very um, upsetting at times to have that happen, and then on the other hand, it's also that there's the nature that we have to compete with too, that I think sometimes we don't always think about when we're sitting there in an empty hall because no one came to our event. Sometimes we have to consider the nature of sickle cell. But even in that, I think that's a small part as to not having that support. It's frustrating. Like, advocating is not for the faint of heart. It's not for weak people in any way, because it's hard, you know, like, just period. Um, but yeah, say education. We all of us educate. I cannot say we don't educate. I think that's the basis of why a lot of us get into this arena, is to educate, educate our families. A lot of times we're looking for support in our homes, in our own lives, and then we find out, like, oh wait, I have a gift for this, or I can give, and then all of a sudden you're sucked into it, and now you're an advocate. And what happened? But it happens, right? Um, CC, I said I would come back. What are common help questions you get when you are called upon? Um, well, when I'm in the house. Well, when people call me from the hospital in the ER, generally it's talk to this doctor. They're not listening to me. That is the most common across the board. The doctor is not listening to me, or the nurse is not listening to me, and I can't get a hold of my doctor. But it's that as a patient, we're not listened to. And again, this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show, right? Sickle cell as a disease is probably the most misunderstood, discriminated against, dismissed illness there is, and the patients, and disliked, and for some reason all of that transfers over to the adult patient, not the child per se, um, but the transition and going forward. Like I don't know of any other illness where the illness is just absolutely hated. Like people hate cancer, right? You see people walk around with shirts, cancer sucks. F cancer. Like, yeah. You don't see them talk about cancer patients suck. F cancer patients. No. Like there's a distinct difference. For some reason, we don't get that. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Am I wrong? Do you feel that for some reason we are as patients sort of just as our illness seems to be?
I feel like we're just wicked to those couple of patients that they had that completely was unpleasant instead of thinking about we've dealt with medical professionals that was completely unpleasant too. So meet me halfway or get out. I don't I just my whole thing is everybody got a cousin that has sickle cell, right? I think I'm gonna make a shirt. I got a cousin that got sickle cell. I actually do have a cousin that has sickle cell. But I'm gonna make a shirt. I got a cousin that got sickle cell. Because everybody got a cousin. All black people. I don't know. It seems like, oh, I don't know what that is, but I got a cousin. You
Yeah.
that goes back to the whole educating the family and family resources thing. It's like it's there. It's not like it's not there. You can know more. I bet you $1 if you called that cousin up right now and asked them about sickle cell, they'll tell you. They're not finna hang the phone up in your face. How about the next family function? We just sit together around like a campfire and just start telling them what it is. If that's it, you know what? Hey, cousin, let's just sit here and have this conversation with you about sickle cell.
Um.
Oh,
Sorry. Mm.
I'm,
Um. No, no, you're absolutely right. Everybody got a cousin, and hardly anybody can tell you what it is. But um, what they don't do is say though that you're lying.
no,
My family, I'm a fifth generation sickle cell patient. My family knows more than most. When I ask for it, I get support. If I don't ask for it, it's spirit, or as someone once told me, it's just a given. Oh, okay. When I'm in the hospital, when I'm on my way to the hospital, when I've gotten sick in the family events, I cannot say that my family looked at, oh, you're faking. Oh, we don't believe you. No, Marissa's sick. The whole family stops. And I mean, and I'm cared for. Direct sort of reaction is, ugh, you're making this up. And I know some people have not been as blessed as I, and they've had those interactions with certain family members. Um, but I'm saying on just even the scale of just within your home. But when you go to the ER, it's like, why is that automatically like the go to? They're making it up. How do we know they're not making it up? Well, even if they are, it's how do we know it's as serious as they're claiming it to be? It's like, why do we have to continue to prove this over and over and over again? Why can't you just accept it is what it is? And those are the questions that I get from my patients. It's help me talk to this doctor and get my care. From the doctor, it's how do I know that they're not faking? Fake sickle cell. She got a daughter and a job. That's how you know she's not faking. You got things to do at home. Like it's almost like they think we have nothing to do and we get bored, so we want to go to the ER and waste time.
You reminded me of something, and I don't want to lose the thought because I have like another thought about her
I'm
comment.
done. Continue.
I'm sorry, it's because I don't want to lose it. Because when you were talking, you reminded me of something. Um, lately, I want to say the past year and a half, every time I get on Facebook, I see family members, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, whatever. My child or my this has sickle cell, and I don't think that they're this sick, and I don't want them to be addicted to this pain medication and this and that. Do you know how hard it is for us to admit that we need help sometimes, that we need to take this medication? I've been taking medication for 31 years. 31. 31 years. And I hate medication. I can't stand it. Now, do I forget to take it sometimes? Sometimes. But do I put it off until I absolutely need it? Hell yeah, because who wants to take medication? Who got time for that? And if you train a child how to be
Mhm.
comfortable with it when they're young and don't make them afraid of the medication, which I feel like a lot of parents are these days. And I get it, it's scary. Ooh, the big bad Percocet. I get it, you know? But your child needs this. Your family member needs this. This is something that is and it shouldn't be stigmatized from the people who they need to know believe them. Because like you
Mm.
said, we go to the hospital and they don't believe us. So if we have people at home who don't believe us, and we have people in the hospital who don't believe us, and we have friends who don't believe us, and people we're with who don't believe us, where is peace? Where is the safety? Where is the love? Where does that person feel they can be themselves and have this illness that is slowly killing them? And that's really the truth of the matter.
Mhm.
Um, and just I'm gonna dive right into CC Crystal's comment because I have something to say about that too. Um, you have a nurse friend. She says that sickle cell patients are hard to deal with because they're mean to staff. I'm gonna say this: not all sickle cell patients are mean to the staff. Not even 5%. I'm not even 5%. Okay, and I'm gonna say this. Um, I might be considered someone who's mean or difficult. Now, am I? No, because I want what I want and I'm going to get what I want. And it's not even what I want, it's what I need to get better. I am not in the hospital to make friends with everybody. Am I nice? Yes. Do we have to do it an easy way? Yes. I could be easy like a Sunday morning. I could be the apple of a nurse's eye, okay? I really can. I can be sweet as pie. But then again, when you start making me feel like I'm not in a safe place, I start acting like I'm not in a safe place. And if that makes a person or a staff member uncomfortable, I'm not there for their comfort. I'm there to get better.
But for whatever reason, their comfort has been put on us,
And they
which
might that ain't my thinking.
I'm confused about personally. That confuses me. Why the doctor or nurse's comfort is more important than my health. But back to the survey, we're almost done. We only have two more questions. Um, and this goes to, does knowing you have an advocacy group in your area make you feel comfortable when you are in the ER or admitted to the hospital? And those the majority of those answers was yes. It does make them more comfortable, which I thought was interesting. Um, we got a majority yes. We got 80% yes on that question. Um, uh, and then we got an interesting answer. It says many do, but they really should contact advocacy beginning, not after they spent days being abused or when the weekend is upon them, Friday after 4:30 to Sunday. That was interesting. And someone says yes, and I believe health providers may think twice about mistreating and undertreating patients. There's a support system protecting the patient's rights. So I think that is true. I think, but I don't know if that mindset has anything to do with us being an advocacy group. It just has to do with the idea that you have somebody that cares about you. We know that statistically, any patient in the hospital gets better care when they have visitors, when they have people coming and checking in on them and calling for them, than those who do not. So I'm not sure if that is unique to advocacy groups, but I do say I have to admit that it is kind of frustrating when you get that call and somebody's been in the hospital for 4 days and they've been 4 days without oxygen, or they've been 4 days, on pain medication. And it's like, why are you just now calling? And the fact of the matter is that they don't want to be bothered. And I think as patients, we sort of all tend to kind of have that. I mean, we live with an illness like this. We know a lot. We're very independent. We're more independent than we're given credit for. And and a lot of times you think, okay, I can deal with this nurse or I can deal with this hospitalist. So they're only going to be here for a day. I can do this for a day. Not realizing how the hospital system is set up or how the hospitalist is in that those hospitalists aren't just individuals, but they are individuals that belong to the same hospitalist practice that is, contracted by the hospital that you're in. So if that person reports that you're a bad patient or they've had a horrible time with you, unfortunately, it gets spread throughout the practice. And now the next hospitalist that comes in, they're not just a fresh, new, shiny face, but they've gotten this report on you. And now it continues. Or if it's said that, oh, you're not in the pain you say you're in because, you're walking around at night or you were just laughing watching YouTube. Like, for some reason, that's against the law. No. But I think a lot of patients get caught up, that mindset. I've been doing this all my life. I can get through this. I don't want to bother anybody. Bother us. Call somebody. Because what you don't want to have happen is the next day people are looking for you on Facebook and we can't find you because you're not here. Because unfortunately, something bad happened to you in the middle of the night and nobody even knew that you were in the hospital or you were even in need of help. That's just my personal public service announcement, but hey.
Every time you go to the hospital, even if it's something that you feel like you're going to get out in a couple of days and you'll be fine, it should be treated as, and you know, not a near death experience, but life or death. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're in the hospital and you have doctors or nurses or whoever who don't want to hear you out, who are not giving you the proper pain medication, who are just making it stressful and difficult for you because they just want to. Because maybe they had a bad day. Maybe their husband or their wife sucks. So they want to take it out on you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you just like, oh, this isn't fair, and like you said, you just keep it to yourself. It's not is let it out. Not you don't got to be negative, but you should always treat it. Every time I go to the hospital, my main goal and my main concern, it is not, oh, I just really want pain medication. Oh, I just really, of course, that's one of them. But my main concern is making it back to my belly. That is what I'm. Hello, I'm coming here so that I can be good for my child, so that I can go home and cook dinner and take care of her and do everything that I need to do as a mother, as a single mother with a child. So if you cannot make that happen, if I feel at any time I'm in jeopardy, I'm not going to stay there because it's so unfair and this life is so unfair and woe is me and I cannot take it and I'm going to do it and I'm going to suffer alone. No, I'm going to and I'm going to advocate for myself. If that doesn't work, I'm going to find an advocate to advocate for me. If that does not work, I'm leaving. I don't have time to play shoulda, coulda, woulda. My child don't have her mom no more. I will leave and I will
Mm-hmm.
go to that can help me. And I just think that I really, if anybody could take anything away from anything that I've said, I think that's the main thing I really want people to take away is you can walk away. And it's life or death. They are holding your lives in their hands. And if they're not taking it seriously, find someone who will.
Mm-hmm. No, this is yeah. I have nothing to add to that. That was it. That was a very complete thought. Thank you. Complete. Um, but I no, really, like I don't understand why it's thought that we don't have these situations at home. Why people think that we don't have family members to get back to, and we don't have responsibilities, and we don't have lives that we're trying to build and lead, and know, it's very confounding to me that for some reason, again, doctors and nurses look upon us as if we're just there to waste time and resources because we should do. And that's just not the case. Moving on to the next one. If you experience discriminatory treatment at any point of care, the ER, hospital, infusion centers, would you go to an advocacy group for help? And if so, what do you think their response would be to your request? Um, okay, so here we go. Someone said, I would, and I hope the response would be positive, or a positive response too. Um, Someone did do that, and they said it made things worse because the doctors got offended that they called in a third party. You know, perhaps if you did something wrong, you know, you need to have a third party called upon you. I don't really know. But the doctor got offended, and the nurses got offended, and they basically blocked care for this patient. And then they wonder what to call, you know, why do we need to call backup? It's like if you're blocking my care, I need to call backup. If you're going to stop my pain medication because you don't like the way that I said good morning, then I need to call backup. So I've been in that place. Um, again, Sickle Cell Kentuckiana. I know I'm not. I know I'm beating that word up, but They have been there whenever I've needed them, and they've always been excellent in helping with our needs. Um, yes, and they have helped and spoken on my behalf. Um, Somebody says, I think I would call. I think they would send a social worker to advocate on our behalf. Another person says, yes, I believe they would reach out to the doctors and the hospitals. Someone, perhaps, I'm not sure what would be received by the hospital. Would they drop me down even lower for having to get a third party involved? They already assume that we are not medically knowledgeable. Um, I don't think the problem is that we're not medically knowledgeable. I think the problem is that we know too much. Again, this is just my personal opinion, but doctors are trained to sort of get somebody's trust, diagnose them, and get them some sort of treatment in 5 minutes or less, 3 minutes or less if you're in the ER. And the thing with the sickle cell patient, we walk in, we don't need their diagnosis. I mean, not from the beginning. We know why we're there. We're in the ER for pain. We know we have a fever, so there might be action lingering somewhere, and we need that culture done. But we're not like walking in like, help me, what is this? Like, this is not an episode of General Hospital. We know what works, we know what does not work. We've had a lifetime of experience of sickle cell and our body. We are the expert, and for some reason doctors are taught that that's a sign of somebody that's not a real patient, somebody that's drug seeking. I would like to know who's making up these rules and these lies, because I've spent many a night in a ER, and believe me, you know the people that ain't never been in a hospital before. You know, because they annoy the hell out of you as somebody that live in the hospital. They annoy you. Why are they asking stupid questions? Why? Why are they? Why are they loud? Why? Well, it's just a whole just a wave of why. Stop. Why? Is it okay if I go to the bathroom? Is it okay if I use my phone? Is it okay? Like, no, stop. Stop. Why? And maybe because and I don't feel well, I'm just highly irritable. But still, people that have never been in a hospital before. You just know. And people that pretty much live in hospital. It's a very different sort of, we here, this is my second home. I know where the blankets are. I know where the pillow's at. I know where the ice machine is. I'm gonna get all of that. Don't worry. You get the medicine. You do your job. I'm gonna do mine. And for some reason, that's considered to be, a bad thing. And I've yet to meet a doctor that can explain to me why. Why are you upset when your patient is offering you doesn't? Let's move on. Works, normal saline doesn't. Next, use a pee tube when you're taking blood from me. Matter of fact, if you could do a finger stick, that's probably your best bet, or else you're going to be sitting here 20 minutes trying to find a vein, because I've been throwing up all day and I'm dehydrated. Why are those things that I'm saying that are all incredibly helpful seen as not so much? So, and I think it goes back to what someone said earlier, which is that doctors, or is it people, have a hard time saying that they don't know about sickle cell and not want to admit that they have not been educated um, for this illness. And I don't know why, you know. Instead of hiding it, you need to be shouting from the rooftop. Hey, hey, yell. A Harvard, A UCLA, USC, Pepperdine, Stanford. Yo, peep gang. Y'all gave me 80% of an education when you failed to educate me about the world's largest hereditary illness. So I'm going to keep 20% of that loan and keep it pushing. And I'm going to encourage all of the medical students, if they're not taught about sickle cell, the world's largest hereditary illness, y'all go ahead and keep 25% of that loan that you done took out. Because you now getting 75% of an education. Because now they know that they're faulty. And they've been doing this for generations. Making money off of giving people a lackluster ass, messed up ass education. Just my opinion though. Just saying. Yes, CC, we are helping the doctor get her so they could see someone else. Exactly. And for some reason, it's not seen that way. Um, but that's, did I read? I read all of our questions.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, I read all of our questions. So, back to the advocacy groups. For the most part, um, when I first read this, and I've read this many times, I was like, whoa. As advocacy groups, we have a lot we need to do, including my own. I mean, this is not directed towards anyone in particular. A lot to do. Um, number one. Then number two, we do a lot of the things that in this survey said people asked for. Educating. We all educate. I can't say that there's an advocacy I have run into, done business, gone to their conference or their meeting where the number one goal was not education. So I don't know, perhaps it is the way that we're trying to educate that's not coming across. That's just a thought of mine. The second thing is dealing with doctors. Um, you know, it's really hard when you get a phone call at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from somebody that's in a hospital bed alone in pain, and they're looking for you to help. And in many ways, you have no legal standing. In many ways, you are just another person that they sort of called in. And who are you? You're just as useless NIH guidelines. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to follow you. I don't have to do this. And it's like you have to get around that attitude, the other side of it, and get that person to listen to you, that person to listen to your patient, more importantly. And that's not always the easy thing to do. Um, and I think a lot of people hesitate to call advocates, as it's already been stated, but because one, you don't want to admit that you need the help, or two, maybe you don't realize that you need the help. And then there's three, that you don't want to offend the doctor, want to make it worse. Again, all I can say to that is, do you, but we all need help. We all need help in life. Nobody gets through this life alone. And if you are in a hospital setting and you feel like your needs are not being met, then you need to reach out and call somebody. Reach out and text somebody. I might have just gave my age away because you don't know anything about the reach out. Let your fingers do the walking out. That was a Yellow Pages ad. Um, but But no, really, call somebody, please. And then the
Yeah,
other thing is this, you know,
you shouldn't fear being penalized because they don't want to be embarrassed.
yeah. And the other thing I'm going to say is this: there are a lot less advocates than there are patients and family members. There are not a lot of us. There definitely aren't a lot of us that are like active like 24/7. There's very few. And so, you know, there's only so much in the day and as we can. But I think personally, it's helpful to hear from the patients on what you want us to do and where we should be pointing that energy and that financing that we do have. And from what I'm seeing, it is education, is help when you're in the hospital, and it seems to be helping when you're discriminated against, which could be when you're at the hospital and well, and now you need to go back and fill out, paperwork and start linguistics to the proper authorities to change. I've gotten from the survey that we did. Um, it wasn't helpful, and I thought, oh no, education. They're not going to say that because we do that. We do education. And that was sort of one of the main things that came through. I did not expect that. I did not expect that people would us to help with things such as housing. I wouldn't even know. I don't know if there is a group that does that. Um, I mean, a sickle cell advocacy group that specifically it's part of their purpose to help with housing. I don't know, but those are things that I never even thought of. I don't know, Shay. Did you find something that you thought was like, ooh,
Well, the housing thing, I don't know about paying for housing, um, but I do know that there's a lot of homelessness in the community, and a lot of people don't feel anything out of the therapy and stuff like that. So I do know that that's a problem that needs correcting. Um, I've I've not homeless hospital because I've said it. I've been homeless myself before, so I get it. But um, I think what truly stood out to me most of all was just all these expectations. But I think that, like I said before, in order to have all of these expectations met, there has to be the people who are on the other side receiving those expectations. Um, and I just feel like to say, oh, I didn't know, or it was, oh, this or that. It's people make time for the things that are important to them, and I'm a firm believer in that. So I've never like when a person like, oh, I just got so busy, or oh, it's this, and I get it, life happens, and I'm not talking about one event or another, or one education or another. I'm just saying in general. I I do I kept hearing education, so that's why I'm refocusing back on that because I just feel like there's too many tools for that to be something that's like talked about in a need as prevalent as I saw in this in the survey. So that's all I have to say about that. um, Honestly,
Okay.
that's what.
Um, we had a comment where it said expecting expecting our medical system to educate, just paraphrasing, to educate their doctors on sickle cell being the largest hereditary illness, but for people of color is unrealistic. I disagree with that. Um, no, that's not unrealistic. It may have been unrealistic 70 years ago. It's not unrealistic today. If we are out here yelling free rights, everybody, and I mean everybody, if we are out here changing which we, you know, what is it? Help me out, Shay. Are you a she, her,
Identify.
they, them?
So, yeah.
If we can change that, and in such a small amount of time, then we can definitely demand upon our medical system that they educate their doctors about the world's largest hereditary illness. Period. I don't care who it affects. And the fact of the matter is that it affects way more than just black people that be on this continent and this very small part of it. Because we're not even talking about South America. And we go around the world. I mean, that's millions of people. So no, it's not asking too much. And we need to start doing that because if it would be one thing if doctors said, "Hey, I didn't learn that. Teach me." And we said, "All right, I shoot," which is kind of what would happen about 20 years ago. Hell, 15, 17 years ago. I would get a doctor that was, had enough common sense to say, you know what, uh, I don't understand what's happening, and sit down and actually take the time to talk to me. That used to happen. That doesn't happen anymore, and it's confusing. And it's not all on us; it's on them. I call it the culture of cruelty. I don't know what I'll call it, but when doctors and nurses allow their to speak in such a horrible way about just one group of patients, and they're okay with that, like y'all need to do some self searching, some spirituality. I don't know, but the fact that your
Yo,
empathy and your sympathy does not your mirror is a problem. Period. Dot. There's no going around that. The fact that you all have dedicated yourselves to healing your fellow man, but it seems to stop when that person says, "I don't feel well." Oh God, let's help you. Let's get comfortable. I'm a sickle cell patient. And y'all can't say that does not happen. So, yes, we as patients, we as a community have our things that we must work on, but we also have to be met halfway. And as advocates, we're sort of stuck in the middle. We have to deal with the patients and we have to deal with the doctors and the medical system. And it's not always, but that doesn't mean that we don't set out every day to do better or to improve upon the job that we did yesterday. Or at least I can say that here at Access Advocacy and for the Sickle Cell Experience. And in saying that, and in putting out this um, survey, we have started a medical advocacy training program. I'm sure people have seen it all over Facebook. If you haven't, please go look at Access Advocacy. Look at Dr. Simone said, but Access Advocacy and Dr. Simone have teamed up to create a medical advocacy program program, which really is a 4-part program. It is not for the weak, not for the faint of heart. It is a 4-month whole situation. But, you get medical training from Dr. Simone, you get advocacy training from us, you put it together, and along with the website that we have, hashtag stopsicklecell.com, you can get an advocate. And I'm proud to say that it works. We got our first 2 advocates this weekend through our website. Who knew? Who knew? I did not. I'm not even gonna lie. And I was one of the people that down and said, let's try to come up with this thing. And it works. And we actually had somebody call us at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we answered and we helped them. And yay. So, information for that will be up on our site. Again, it's sicklecellabuse.com. That's our website. And as soon as Apple approves us, it'll be our app. But you know, this advocacy thing is a 3-way street, and um, all I can say is thank you to those who participated. Thank you to those who, you know, again, you continue to support us and entrust us um, with your thoughts and with your care and with a whole lot. And we truly do appreciate you. And we don't just put these surveys out just because we're bored one day, but we really do put them to use, and we are going to share them with our fellow advocacy groups because you are the people that we support. You are the people that we're here to work for, and we need to know how you feel. So, you know, somebody said they don't realize that there aren't many of us. There are many of us who aren't making it back. Did I just read the middle of? Uh, I think I just read the middle of somebody's comment because that confused me. Shabreon over there, can you just keep up? Here we go. Do you have or can you provide a checklist for sickle cell patients to use? And I lost it. Oh, I skipped some comments. Okay. Thank you, C. C.
We appreciate you for watching. You're awesome. Thanks for, halfway. I was talking to Cece Crystal, her say, you
Oh.
know, um, sorry, I lost it. What? Yep,
No, I think
this
it's the
time.
app. I think it's behind.
Um, they said she's proud of us. Oh, I'm grateful for what y'all do for real. That's what Cece Crystal said, and I was like, thanks for meeting us
Thank
halfway and watching and interacting and educating yourself. Because, yeah, we sit down for an hour to an hour and a half and you're listening to us talk. But if you really hear us with your hearts and your mind, we are dropping gems. Like, every so often, we drop that heat, put it in your pocket, save it for later. That's all I'm saying. You know what you're talking about. That's all I'm saying. Leave me alone. Just the way I say things today. That's just how I'm coming today. I'm sorry. I'm in a good mood and this is what you get. This is the me you're getting today. So hello all, hello.
I'm here for it. Um, I think we're tired today. Um, but I was trying to get to the question at the bottom,
No, leave me alone.
which you have control over, not I. I'm sure I felt made a list many, many moons ago, but off the top of my head, I could not direct you to it. But what I will say is that I'm willing to sit down and write it out again.
I see it.
Good
Oh,
night, Cece.
that makes a lot of sense. Hey, how about we do you one better? How about we just make a video
We could do that too.
strictly, specifically, only for what you're asking, and you could just go back. You know, I don't know. I learn by hearing, so I mean, I learn. I'm
I'm a
actually
visual
like
person.
down everything down the middle: visual, auditory, written. Like I have to have all of those to actually soak in the things that I know. So
So I guess the answer to your question is yes, we will be making that list and soon. Please look out for it. And there anything else that we need to touch upon, or are we done for right now? Next week, we will be doing the watch list and sickle cell experience live together. And we are watching the number 7 episode entitled Pain of the Lenox Hill documentary or docu-series on Netflix. That's going to be interesting to the least. And we will be talking about really why advocates are important. This whole month we're talking about advocacy, and we're talking about our medical advocacy training program, and we are doing our best to give real world examples of where an advocate would have been a good thing to have. I think that's the best way to put it. So next week, that'll be Shabreon is like she's gonna have fun with me.
I know. Yeah, that's a lot of yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so if there is nothing else that anyone wants to say, you know, Marissa does respond to comments after the live. I'm not even gonna play y'all out like that this time. I try to read the comments and keep up after. For the most part, I think I do okay. Okay. Um, but Marissa, she on it. She gonna respond to everybody who comments after this. So make sure if you watch this later and you just so happen to have things you want to add and say, go ahead. You have the floor is yours. Um, we appreciate you all, and thank you so much for joining us and being patient with us because we don't always do our Wednesday at 5 live like we used to, but life happens. So what are you gonna do? We're here. We came. We saw. We conquered. Thank you all. Thank all of the advocacy groups for everything that you do. If you're in your line of this, everybody's that's on the front line, whatever capacity you do it. I just want to say thank you. Don't think I am, don't take my my honesty for rudeness. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just being honest. So other than that, Marissa, you wanna let them out, and then I'll say mine, and we can just go ahead.
Uh, Again, thank you for rocking with almost 2 hours. Thank you for doing the survey and giving your opinions and for giving your. And like I said, I hope to see you next week. And as Shabreon said, yes, I do go through and read the comments, and I comment back occasionally, more than occasionally. Um,
More than me. Sorry.
so oh, wait, I'm sorry, Ken just said something that knocked me off. You know, if a person with AIDS showed with an advocate to help with anything, the doctors would praise them. Again, I think that goes back to the whole how society views things such as AIDS and cancer, which is if you are not empathetic, sympathetic, and in some way, have a positive kind of you'll make it attitude, then you are the devil. And we unfortunately do not get um, that grace. We don't get that thought process. So I believe that you are probably right in that comment. And that is not to say that people with AIDS and or leukemia or any other blood disorders don't have their issues, but I don't think that they are as difficult um, as it is with sickle cell. Because again, outside of AIDS in the 70s and the 80s, I don't really know of an illness in which the illness is equally as disliked and dismissed of as the patient is, regardless of who the patient is. And with that being said, thank you for joining us. And we will see you all back here next week. So please leave people in places better than you found them, and you will find that you'll be a better person.
All right, guys, and I'm gonna leave you with my positive words of wisdom. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Until next time, people. All right, peace.